Hey everyone, this is Jake, and today we are here to talk about Karin. She is probably one of my favorite characters that exists within this game. She's been appearing early on from the story parts, and it's nice to see that she finally got to know her awakening form. And she is pretty cool looking character, and I just can't wait to see more in the future stories and such. But anyways, she is pretty cool character and she is also really good. So talk about all the good things about her throughout this video and gear options as well, because she's a little bit different than other character because she is a Fury type character compared to all these other characters that use a maze cooldown set and such. But anyways, yeah, let's jump into video and talk about Karin. So let's go through overall kits for Karin and what kind of things she is going to bring it onto the table compared to other ranger units. Ranger units pools is pretty packed in my opinion. There are tons of good ranger exists already, and it's definitely not necessary to replace ranger units that you're already using with Karin in my opinions. But certain situation, and especially in PvP, she definitely brings out a lot of new things to the table. First thing she has is with her passive attack. She is able to do this backstab and start shooting laser beams to the target in front of her. This will actually do a lot of damage, especially to more enemies out on the field. The more enemies that exist and gets hit by this laser beam, the more damage it will do. So as more target exists out on the field, it will do more damage. And it also has a barrier reflux thing, and that is pretty unique ability to have. So this is pretty good in certain situation within PVE Contents, and PvP of course it is always good to have a barrier reflux, so that's what makes her really good as well. It also has some of the push effect, but is able to slowly push back enemies as they get hit by this laser beam. So especially within PvP, this laser beam's hit stun is actually really annoying and pretty good thing for you. So that's what makes her pretty good as well. Another unique thing she has is definitely her special skill where she's able to summon and drop this wall onto the enemies. This wall actually does pretty good damage in both PvE and PvP situations, and it does additional damage against the soldier units, and it's also able to be a nice way to aggro targets. So especially within PvP, this wall is an incredibly good asset for her kits, and that's what makes her really good compared to other ranger units depending on your situations and whatever units that's kind of meta weak during that time. Against the soldier units where they use a lot of low cost multi-units, this drop shield actually works pretty great, and like I said, being able to reflux barriers against the targets with her special passive attack, it actually helps to fight against some of the soldier units because they have self barrier gains and such. So that's what makes her pretty stand out compared to the other units. Her ultimate is pretty standard, just doing AoE damage, but she's also able to buff herself for a bit after casting ultimates, and she's also able to shoot the laser passive attack once again after casting ultimates. So that's pretty nice DPS meter. She kind of lags compared to other units when it comes to single target damage. I guess that's kind of downside, but the fact that she's able to do a lot of AoE damage, and there are definitely many situations where you want to fight against many different enemies out on the screen. So during that situation, she will be pulling up tons of DPS compared to the others, and it's pretty incredible how much damage she can really pull out for 6 cost units. When it comes to gear option, Karin is pretty simple for it because she's a Fury type character, meaning you really have to use attack speed set on her because that 20% additional attack speed boost is a huge thing for Fury type character. So try to use attack speed sets, that's your first goal. Your second goal is trying to farm relic sweep gears with attack speed latent ability. More attack speed means the faster cycle with your skills, and able to trigger her passive skill more often compared to no attack speed bonuses, so you definitely want to utilize that option. But do not sleep on range gears. Range gears is also a really good option, if not does more damage depending on your situation with the range gears compared to attack speed, because your individual attacks are going to be more pack-a-punch. So you definitely want to be using range damage gear if you have a lot of them available. It's just that I feel like range damage gears are much more usable throughout many different characters, where the attack speed gears are pretty much kind of only used for Fury type character. So depending on your situation and whatever gears you have, you want to mix and match. I usually mix and match. I have like 2 relic speed gears and 2 range damage gears, and I mix and match and try to use those sets onto Karin, and it works pretty good. But whatever gears you have, long as they're attack speed set and either attack speed latent power or range damage latent power, it will work out pretty good on her. So let's talk about Karin Wong's PvE performance. I would definitely say she is more than average. She's probably comes to good level. The only downside she has is that she is not really good against the bosses for losing out DPS compared to other ranger units. But one of the reasons why she loses out DPS is that not only she has a bit less single target damage because she does more damage against the multi-targets, of course. Whenever she does this backstab laser, she also does a backstab and she has to walk back to the range where she can start attacking again. This is a huge DPS to lose in many different situations, so that's why it's not as good compared to other ranger units. And tons of other ranger units or other range class damage units are pretty much all skill haste based character, and there are tons of characters that boost up your skill haste when you usually run raid and boss parties, so she cannot take benefit from those nice skill haste buffs, so that's another reason why she really loses out on those buffs. But other than those parts, she still does a lot of damage in my opinions, especially against the content where our tons of enemies are showering onto you. She is going to be the one doing the most amount of DPS. Her passive attack is going to be just scratching through all this enemy across the field, and like a dive 60 where you're fighting against this admin shieldman has a tons of barriers. She being able to reflux a barrier with her passive attack is pretty insane and easy way to cheese through those enemies. So she's definitely one of those characters that I use all the time for my dive auto team that I'm gonna post later separately after posting this video. So overall, I'll say she does overall good damage. It's just that she won't be the character that throwing out your ranger slots for your boss comps, but any other contents where tons of enemies comes out, like I said, dive and last stands and such, she is going to be performing much better than your usual ranger class units. So lastly, for PvP, I would definitely say Karin has really unique spots for her, and her performance is pretty crazy good in my opinions. The first unique thing she has is her drop shield wall. This wall can actually tank a lot of damage, and also it can do decent damage against your regular backline targets. Not only that, it can also do a ton of damage to soldier because it has additional damage against the soldiers. So enemies are using soldier comp and Karin is unbanned that week, you are going to go and drop the shield and it will take out a chunk of HP from those soldier units. Her passive laser attack is also a really good way to do damage to your enemies. Not only is able to reflux the barrier, so if they have barriers are going to be gone, it's able to do this kind of hit stun where it pushes back enemies. So sometimes you will see healers getting pushed back by Karin Wong's laser, so they won't be able to get to the range where they can use the healing skills. So it should annoy the hell out of the other player quite a bit. Her ult is pretty standard, and her overall DPS is definitely a little bit lacking against single targets, but within PvP, I don't think it should be a problem. She's an overall really good character to be used throughout the PvP. It's mostly her wall, I think. That's what does a ton of difference throughout your PvP matches, and it really puts some of the aggro away and does a ton of damage. So I would definitely say try out Karin whenever she's unbanned, and you're gonna have a tons of fun. I mean, you can play the arcade right now, and she's going to be doing here and there with her wall drops. It's pretty fun. If you can stack up a lot of attack speed, of course, you're able to pull that out more often, which will annoy the player more. But overall, I would definitely say Karin is one of the strongest ranger units right now that does not give up on the meta. I'll definitely go for her. But of course, there's always different options depending on the week. And Maria right now is also a very strong pick for the PvP in my opinion. Because for 5 costs, able to do a ton of damage and stuns and anti-heal ability and such, she's also pretty crazy too. So there are tons of options for ranger pulls compared to any other pulls in my opinions. But the Karin definitely stands out and managed to kind of give her own spots compared to the other meta rangers right now. So overall, I would say Karin is really amazing ranger class units. She does good DPS, and her wall mechanic also works really great in many different situations. And she's a really fun character to use, and she's really cool looking. That's one of the main things I think. She's just really fun to use compared to other ranger units because she does a lot of things by herself and a lot of fancy things. Like dropping wall is pretty cool mechanics, and I love every time she drops a wall and shoots a laser beam and such. She's just a really well made character in my opinion. I guess main downside to her, a lot of casual players is definitely coming down to being a Fury class and needing for specific gears, so you can't abuse your maze cooldown set and such. That's definitely the one downside I can definitely say. As long as you have gears to be used on her for her maximum potentials, I would definitely say you're gonna have a lot of fun with her. She is definitely one of my favorite characters, and I can't wait to get another copy of her to get her to max tactical level. But anyways, that is pretty much it for this video. If you guys enjoyed this one, this shade, I will see you guys next time. Take care.